What's good, everybody? Welcome into the Early Edge, your daily sports betting brand of record. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all of sports betting, and it is not close. I told you this morning that we are back in full health, and what I meant by that was our morning show, our soccer show, which we did live today. So many of you joined us for that. Thank you very much. And then right here, right now, we love MMA. We love UFC. We love Bellator. We love the PFL. And we love the star of the show. Let's bring him in right now. We call him Andrew Gombas, live from New York City. Andrew, good afternoon, sir.
Coach, how you doing? It's great to be here.
I'm hyped. If you couldn't tell. I'm pumped up. Now, there's a lot of reasons I'm pumped up. Reason number one is last week, I wasn't here on Saturday. You were on the show. You were unbeaten. Well done. How did you feel so confident about a Bellator card? Let's just be honest, that is not always the easiest to handicap.
Yeah, so I think just doing that extra research into the fights was the difference maker here. Main event, we had Ryan Bader, who's a gritty veteran. He has that 5-round experience. He'd fought a high level of competition. He was going up against a guy who's a Fedor prodigy. That was definitely baked into the price tag. It should have been way closer to a pick'em, as we saw. And then another fight, we had a guy who was coming off knocking out a minus 1,000 favorite, and it was a little bit of an overcorrection. I kind of just could see it coming, and happy to come away 2-0.
I believe this year on the Early Edge, you're 8-2. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
I'm angry I'm not 10-0, but we'll take it.
Hey, that's okay. 80%, we'll take that any day of the week. Now, I said we're all official back. That means for the next 6-7 months, every single week, we're going to have some type of MMA. So I know you're ready. But coming up in, what's today, February 3rd. So coming up in 9 days on February 12th, it's going to be an incredible pay-per-view in the UFC. Israel Adesanya. Many people believe he could be the best pound for pound, taking on Robert Whittaker, who's having kind of a resurgence in his career. What are you most looking forward to in this fight?
Yeah, so this is an amazing rematch. These two fought back in October of 2019. The line was about a pick'em that time. Maybe Adesanya closes a tiny favorite, but he had a career-defining performance. He knocked Whittaker out in the second round, and he's reigned the division ever since. But Whittaker's come back. He's got some big wins. He just recently pretty much dominated Kelvin Gastelum bell to bell over 5 rounds. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And I think what might be what might be different this time is I think Robert Whittaker is going to try to implement his wrestling game a little bit into the strategy, as last time he went out there and tried to have a kickboxing match with Adesanya, which is a dangerous task in a tall order.
Yeah, there's a reason he's a kickboxing champ, for a reason. Change it up, change the levels, change your game plan a little bit. But I'm looking forward to Robert Whittaker. It also feels like, Andrew, that he's healthy for the first time in several years. He always fought through certain things. I feel like he's healthy right now. Do you?
Yeah, and I felt bad for the guy. He had some serious stuff going on, which it's crazy. I mean, just to be a pro fighter at that level on its own is hard enough, but dealing with the health issues he's had over the years, it's definitely impressive, and I'm happy to see him healthy these days.
Oh, me too. And we are here for it. Now, I told you that all 3 big organizations, by the end of the month, they're going to be very, very busy. We found out the PFL is adding 8 weeks of contender challenge type series. I'm here for that before the regular season starts in April as well. But for this show, we're talking about UFC Fight Night, Saturday. Main card starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. The prelims start at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure you get the picks in and you don't miss out. It's not that late night fighting anymore, and I'm here for these times. So let's get right into it. Prelims, featherweight, Hakeem Dawodu, minus 170 favorite. Andrew taking on Mike Trizano. He comes back at plus 155. What do you like?
Yeah, so I really like Hakeem Dawodu in this spot. I really do think he's better wherever the fight goes. Trizano's coming off of a close decision victory in a fight. We bet on there as a plus 200 underdog. He squeaked it out. It was a really close fight, but I think this is a big step up for him. Dawodu's strong. He hits hard. He's good volume on the feet, and I think he should be a wider favorite in this spot.
Okay, I like that a lot. Minus 170. For those of you that are brand new to the show, brand new to MMA betting, minus 200 is kind of our ceiling for a straight bet. A little bit different than football, baseball. You can go up to minus 200. Anything above that, we will usually recommend a parlay unless my man Andrew really feels strongly about the play as a straight play. All right, second fight, also on the prelims. light heavyweight division. Jailton Almeida, minus 400. It's a big number. Danilo Marquez coming back at plus 310. What do we do with this one?
Yeah, so I actually like the over 1.5 rounds in this fight. You could get it right now at about plus 100 or minus 110, right around even money. I like this spot a lot. And just for reference, for those of you who maybe your first time watching or you're not that experienced MMA betting, when I say over 1.5 rounds, that means in the second round, halfway through the round is kind of that benchmark for over under. So 1.5 rounds means 2 minutes and 30 seconds into that second round. We're hoping it goes longer than that, and I think it's going to go longer than that. Jailton Almeida coming off the Contender Series. He's very strong. He's big, and he's a good grappler, and that's his game. He likes to shoot takedowns, and I think that's what he's going to do here. And Danilo Marquez in his own right is also a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So I kind of see this fight playing out in the sense where Almeida might take him down a few times, but I don't think it's going to be like an instant submission once he gets it down to the ground. I think it's going to be a grindy fight that probably lasts late into the second, early into the third, or maybe even goes the full 15 minutes. I think Jailton Almeida is going to rack up some top time, and I think really the only way this could go under is if he lands a big knockout early, which I don't think is going to happen.
It's always interesting whenever you see a fight that you can get over 1.5 instead of the usual over 2.5. Usually that means it's going to finish really, really quick, or it's going to go the distance because both guys get just winded. They come out and they try so hard to get the win early, and then that doesn't happen. Let's also keep in mind, Almeida is making his UFC debut, and we've seen certain guys, when they step into the big time, it affects them. It affects them a lot. So keep your eye on that. He's making his UFC debut. All right, let's get to the main event of the evening. Sean Strickland taking on Jack Hermansson. Now, Strickland comes in minus 220. Ever since that motorcycle accident that kept him out for 2 years, he has been on fire, looking for his 6th straight win, taking on Hermansson, who, well, he only fought one time in 2021. And we know fighters want to fight at least 3 or 4 times in a perfect world. Do you see that as a negative for him coming into this fight?
Not necessarily. I think over the years, Hermansson has been pretty active. Maybe it really depends with these guys. You never really know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe he was spending time getting a lot better. Maybe he was spending time not training. We really don't know, and I try not to speculate too much on it. But I think this is a pretty good fight for Strickland here. Jack is a strong grappler, but he's definitely outmatched on the feet. So Sean Strickland has defended takedowns at a very high rate in the UFC, but the kicker is he hasn't really fought a wrestler in a really long time. So I think that's one of the intriguing question marks in this fight, because if this fight does stay on the feet, I think Sean Strickland's going to be in control. He's good cardio, great volume, and he's going to come forward the whole time. I think he has a gas tank advantage over Jack Hermansson, but I'm definitely curious to see how Jack's grappling looks, considering Sean Strickland's defensive grappling hasn't been tested in a very long time. Hence why I'm not necessarily looking to lay the minus 220 price tag on Strickland, although I am picking him to win outright.
All right. So what I would probably recommend is, we do this a lot, that if you're winning throughout the night and you're up a little bit, then you can lay the 220 and not feel so bad about it if you lose. But this is a big number. Is there another play in this that you could recommend for people if they feel like they absolutely have to bet on this fight?
Yeah, so if you have to bet on this fight, I think the under 4.5 rounds is not a terrible spot. Strickland doesn't have a lot of finishes lately, but he's also been fighting in a lot of 3-round fights, and also has just had some super durable opponents. Like in the Jack Marshman fight, I mean, he basically beat that guy down very bad, wasn't able to find the finish. So I think at plus 100, the under 4.5 is not a bad spot, because I think if Jack's main win condition is probably having a lot of grappling success early, where he does find a submission, and Strickland, I think over time is going to do some damage. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a 3rd or 4th round TKO. So not an official play for me, but if we're winning going into the main event and you want to get some money down on it, I think those are 2 angles that are worth a look.
I will say this, because I never want to accuse the judges of leaning to one side or leaning to the other, but just keep in mind this at home. Strickland has an incredible personality. He has an incredible upside. The UFC needs him, especially right now with all the negative storylines that have been coming out of the UFC. They need a guy like Sean Strickland who can prop up an entire division to win that championship eventually, I believe, because he would be a great, fun, entertaining champion. Do you agree with me?
I agree with you, but I think he's a PR nightmare. Some of the stuff he said on Media Day is definitely a little bit questionable. I think it's hilarious, but I'm actually I'm glad you brought that up because I'm actually very curious to see what that's like when he becomes a little bit more mainstream. Because if he wins this fight, he's right in the title picture, and we've never really had an athlete say, and definitely not a mainstream athlete say the stuff that he's saying. So I'm very curious to see how the public perceives him.
If you want to see his personality, go to, I think it's UFC on Twitter, one of those. They posted a video of him like basically reading stuff that people say about him or calling, nicknames that they think he should be called. Literally 80% of the video was bleeped with censor over his mouth. At least 80% of it. And I think you reposted it. I believe you were the one that did that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's on my timeline if you want to go check that out. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, go do that. That's the easiest way to find it. Follow my man Andrew Gombas on the Twitter. All right, we are up against it. Grab your paper, grab your pencil. Here is the recap. As always, if you follow my man on Twitter, he may drop a play or two. You just never know how he's feeling throughout the night. Akeem Dawodu, -170. Alameda Marquez, over 1.5 rounds, +100. Then just a little lean. Not an official play, but if you have to pick the main event, let's go with Sean Strickland -220. Again, prelims 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, and the main card starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time live from Las Vegas, where the Pro Bowl is taking place and the NHL All-Star Game is taking place this weekend as well. So Vegas is busy, busy, busy. All right, with that being said, there's only one thing left to do, and I believe you all know what that is. You got your marching orders. Let's take all of these MMA tickets straight to the pay window from my man Andrew Gombas for the jeweler on the ones and the twos. Hey, we're getting ready to get on flights in cars. We're heading for LA, the city of angels, for the Super Bowl. Won't you join us? Follow our YouTube page. Turn on the notifications. You will not believe some of the things that me and the Maestro and AB and everybody are going to be doing next week. You don't want to miss it. All right? Tell all your friends. There's only one brand. You're going to have fun. You're going to feel included. And you're going to be educated and entertained. All of that, all wrapped up in one right here at the Early Edge. Good luck.